friends! Welcome to my channel. Thanks so much for stopping by. Today I'm going to show you how to make paleo queso. That's right, you heard me, paleo queso. As in, sorry, that's my phone. As in queso that doesn't have dairy in it. That is paleo. I have not tried this recipe before, but I have tried to make paleo queso before and it turned out okay. But as someone who really loves her cheese, I'm hoping for a little bit more with this recipe. So I'm super stoked to try this out. So this recipe that we are looking at today comes from 40 Aprons, which is actually one of my favorite sites to get these paleo recipes from. I've had a lot of recipes from Cheryl at 40 Aprons. I've tried a lot of different recipes from 40 Aprons, and I really just like the stuff that Cheryl puts out. The name of the blogger who runs the site. There's been a lot of good stuff from there, so definitely you're going to want to at least check out her site even if you don't decide to make this recipe on your own. So we've got quite a few ingredients that we are going to be using here today. So while the item itself and the making of it is pretty simple, you're going to want to add a lot to your grocery list. So the recipe starts off with, it recommends a cup of boiled potato. Since we're trying to be strictly paleo about this, we don't eat potatoes in this household anymore. We're going to be using cauliflower instead, which is what she recommends. I'm thinking just something similar to potato or cauliflower, something kind of starchy should work. I probably wouldn't stray from either of those if you're going to be making this. But cauliflower is what we're going to be using, so 1 cup of mashed cauliflower is what we're using for this recipe. The recipe says 4 garlic cloves. Y'all already know how I feel about the garlic. We're just going to kind of eyeball it until we're like, yeah, looks good. Go nuts with the garlic, don't go nuts with the garlic. I feel like that is totally up to you. We're also going to need a teaspoon of garlic powder. 3/4 cup of raw cashews. It says let them soak overnight. I just got up this morning and let them soak at starting at 10, it's now almost 8 o'clock, so that's 10 hours? So that should be fine. I feel like overnight is roughly 8-10 hours, maybe even longer, depending on how long overnight is for you. I would say no less than 8 hours. So we are also going to need a cup of vegetable broth. We will need 1 tablespoon fresh lemon juice. We're going to use a cup of coconut milk. And it says here 1 4-ounce cans chopped mild chiles. I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. I really don't like canned goods. I might sound a little bit privileged for saying this, but I do not vibe with canned goods. If you're cooking something, don't tell me that it's made with a canned good, because I'm automatically just going to be like, ew, I'm probably not going to want to eat. I'll still eat it, of course, I won't be rude, but in the back of my mind, I'll be like, oh God, why is it made with canned goods? It's just always this thing I've had. I think it probably stems from knowing that, a lot of canned goods are just filled with nasty preservatives that you really don't need. It sits in the can for Lord knows how long. Just knowing that it's really not that good for you, and 9 times out of 10 the fresh version is better. So okay, for example, coconut milk, this comes in a can, or the coconut milk you should be using for cooking comes in a can. If you see it in a carton, don't get that stuff. Honestly, it's gross. So evaporated milk, coconut milk, I don't really so much have a problem with, just because I know it's the only way you can get it. So I'm just kind of okay, we'll deal with it. But stuff like pineapple, for example, why would I do nasty, syrupy, sugary pineapple when I could just get fresh pineapple? And I get it, sometimes beggars can't be choosers. If all you've got is canned goods, then it's better to eat than go hungry. In no way am I trying to diminish that. Just for me personally, I am grateful that I have the opportunity to choose between canned goods or no goods. So that's my rant on that. Let's get back to the recipe. I have decided to chop up some serrano peppers. I'm sure you could choose any chile you want if you're not doing the canned option like I am, you can do serrano peppers, habanero, totally up to you. I just went with serrano pepper for this. So we're gonna do 4 ounces of serrano pepper. We need 2 tablespoons nutritional yeast. It says 1 4-ounce can of chopped pickled jalapenos. We buy our jalapenos in a jar, pickled of course. So tomato. So pickled jalapeno, and then a tablespoon of the pickled jalapeno juice. We will need a teaspoon of cumin, a dash of turmeric, which is optional for color. I'm gonna go ahead and do it because I like turmeric. Why not? Why not? Let's do it. A teaspoon of tapioca starch. This is optional. I'm actually not going to include it in this recipe just because I don't have any tapioca starch. However, if I feel like the texture is not where I want it to be, I might throw in like a little bit of coconut flour just to thicken it up a little bit. But we're gonna see how it does first before I add anything else to it. We'll need 1 to 2 teaspoons of salt. 1 to 2 teaspoons of salt. And then it says 1 can of tomatoes and green chiles, like Rotel. Like I just said, not doing the canned goods, so I just went and chopped up some tomatoes and some more serrano peppers and mixed those together. About 10 ounces, so I did 5 ounces of the tomato and 5 ounces of the chiles. You can adjust that if you're going down a similar path to whatever ratio you want. I just tried to make it as even as possible. I'm not entirely sure what the ratio is for Rotel. I just did half and half on the 10 ounces and called it a day. And then you're gonna need a blender because you're gonna blend all this together. So what we're gonna do is we're going to combine everything except for the 4th chopped pickled jalapenos and the Rotel mix. I've got my cashews in this pot. We're gonna dump that in the blender. I've got my cauliflower in 2 half-cup measurements because I could not find my 1-cup measurement. Let's do the chili. And we're gonna eyeball this garlic. Wow, that's a lot of garlic. That, I hate to say it, that might actually be too much garlic, but you know what? We're committed, we're doing it. We need 1 tablespoon lemon juice, so I'm just gonna count to 3 with my teaspoon. 1, whoa, 2, I do a half measurement because I kind of poured out there. 3, perfect. Go ahead and do my coconut milk next. So, y'all are gonna think I'm foolish. I don't entirely know how to use a can opener, but we're gonna figure it out. Okay, so like this. Y'all, I'm sorry, I drank my dumb girl juice today. Okay, like actually though, how do I do this? I think I figured it out. I think. This seems like it's doing something. I could just be full of it. Y'all, okay, real quick. I gotta Google how to use a can opener. You can tell I don't like canned goods. I don't how to use a can opener. Jesus. This is just straight foolishness. I can't believe I actually don't know how to use a can opener. They make it look so easy. Change of plans. We're gonna try opening this with a spoon. Ow! Bad plan. Bad plan. I just stabbed my thumb with a spoon. How to use a manual can opener. Winky how is gonna come through. Open the arms of the can opener. Grasp one arm with each hand and gently pull the arms apart. The arms will lightly lock in place when they are in the open position. Yeah, nothing's locking, so okay. Place the cutting edge. This. The arms while you align the cutting edge. What is the cutting edge? Close the arms of the lid to puncture. Okay, maybe I'm not. Wait, I think I got it. Y'all are doing it! Yay! Come through, WikiHow. Oh my god, that was actually embarrassing. I don't know if I'm gonna post this video, because wow, I really ought to know better. Okay. Yay! Okay. So we just need a cup of coconut milk. Now, if you've never used coconut milk before, it's you're gonna want to like mix it together, because it's kind of like there's like, how do I explain it? Actually, no, this one seems pretty simple. Maybe I'm thinking of coconut cream. Coconut cream for sure. There's like a gelatinous layer at the bottom almost. And then there's like a layer of liquid on top, like that for sure you want to mix. This coconut milk though actually looks pretty good to go, so that's cool. Let's just pour it in our half measurement cups because I don't know where my cup went. Oh, okay. 1, 2. Otherwise it's a half a can of coconut milk. Do a cup of the vegetable broth next. So the cool thing about this recipe is that it's also vegan. If you're not a vegan, you can also use chicken broth, but I feel like, why not, you know? There's so few paleo recipes that accommodate people that are vegan, so I'm always super excited to try a vegan paleo recipe, because I'm just like, cool, I can add that to my like Rolodex of paleo collections in my mind. The nutritional yeast, we're going to do 2 tablespoons of that. You want a tablespoon of the jalapeno juice, so I'm just going to try and pour this in as carefully as I can. 1, 2. There's a little extra jalapeno juice, I'm sure it's fine. That's basically 1 tablespoon though. You need 1 teaspoon of cumin. Let's go ahead. Cool. That is herbaceous. I'm gonna add a little extra. You need a teaspoon of garlic powder. Great. Let's get it poppin'. Boom. I'm sure there's plenty of garlic in here already, but it's cool. I'm gonna do 2 tablespoons of salt because I really love salty things. So that's 1 teaspoon. Oop, and that's 2 teaspoons. Perfection. The dash of turmeric, so maybe just like 1, 2, yeah, that looks good. So now that we've got everything in a blender, we're just going to blend it until it's all blended. The recipe here then says that we need to put it in a saucepan if the blender does not heat up the mixture, which I'm like, do blenders heat mixtures? Like, that sounds like a really fancy blender. So once I do this, we're going to add everything to a saucepan over medium-low, and then we're just gonna heat it until it's at the consistency that we want. So let me go ahead and blend this. All right, so it's all blended. So now I'm just going to add it to a saucepan and heat it up until it's at the consistency that I want. So let's do it. Okay, so I've got my pan that's been heating up a little bit on medium-low heat, and we're just gonna pour this in. Ooh, hear that sizzle. Grab a spatula to just try and get the rest of this out. Alright, we're just gonna let that kind of chill and heat up. I know that there's an oxymoron together, but we're just gonna kind of let that hang out and get hot. Hopefully it's not too long. I'm gonna stir it occasionally, just so that way it doesn't stick to the bottom or get burnt at the bottom. Okay, so I've been letting this heat. It's been about like 7 or 8 minutes. But I just tasted it. Honestly, the flavor is phenomenal. It's got quite a kick to it, so heads up if you're not super keen on spice, you might want to dial back on the chili peppers and jalapenos just a little bit. For me, I love it because I love spicy food. The texture is not quite where I want it to be, so I think I am going to try and add a little bit of coconut flour to it and see if that does anything. Instead of coconut flour, I'm actually going to try and use almond flour because I feel like the flavor is going to be better. It's not going to be like as sweet. So I'm just doing a little, oh, that might be too much. I'm just doing a little bit in there. I'm going to stir slowly. Hopefully this won't end up tasting like super powdery or anything. Yeah, the texture's already starting to look better. I'm going to pour myself a bowl of this with some chips and I'll be chatting with you guys in just a bit. So I believe you will recall earlier the recipe called for rotel and jalapenos. We are just gonna bada bing, bada boom, all of that in here. It already had a kick. I'm sure it's gonna be very spicy now. So again, if you're not super into spice, you might want to skip this step. But I figure, I had it chopped up. Let's just throw it in here. So I'm gonna get a bowl of this poured up and then let's chat. All right, we've got our cats here. This is Sylvester, this is Maestro, finally a formal introduction. They are also just so excited to be a part of this video and to, I guess, try this, not try this queso, but for me to try this queso and to talk about this queso. Because honestly, I think it turned out pretty well. So here's what that looks like. And I'm going to be pairing it. No, I did not make the tortilla chips. I should have made the tortilla chips, but I did not. I figured, queso, that's enough. We've got tortilla chips, whatever. This is the brand that we like. Totally Paleo. They've got a lot of awesome flavors. We like to get the lime ones just because they come in a bigger bag, but my personal favorite are the jalapeno lime. So good. So good. I would argue better than most regular tortilla chips, to be honest. I know that I already kind of tasted it to just see how cheesy it was / what the texture would be like, but I'm super hyped to try this with a chip. Let us dip in. That's so good. Yeah, this is absolutely much better than the other queso recipe I tried. Like the texture is a little bit different, but otherwise, like, it tastes pretty legit. And like, I know texture is kind of a big part of that, so I think for most people they're gonna be like, it's fine. And like, yeah, it's not an exact copy. Any sort of cheese thing you try to make paleo is not going to be an exact copy. But you know what? Close enough. I will take it. I think it's delicious. Yeah, that other cashew queso dip I tried. I actually, so here's the story. 4th of July, I had a killer kidney infection, okay? Not urinary tract, nay. That is something that I experienced in May that I failed to take care of that developed into a serious kidney infection. Well, not serious because I wasn't hospitalized, but if you've never had a kidney infection, just imagine like intense back pain and like, normally I feel like I'm okay with handling pain. I couldn't even walk without crying. Like there would just be like tears streaming down my face. Like it was bad. Like it feels like you've got a serious backache mixed with a serious stomach ache, and like you just can't function. Like it sucks. But so I had this kidney infection, and I got it on the 4th of July, which I guess was my body's way of being like, we are not proud to be an American, not under these conditions, no ma'am. Why I decided to take it out on me, I don't know, but so yeah, I had this killer kidney infection that caused me to just like not want to like eat really, because I was like in pain. I was afraid that I was just going to like puke it up, which I didn't really like puke a lot, but you know, like when you're just in pain, you're just like, no, like don't touch me, I don't want to eat anything, just like forget that I'm here. Yeah. So, fast forward to I get on these antibiotics. They start to make me feel better, thank God. And the first thing that I like want to eat is like cheese. Like I'm craving dairy so bad. So I'm like, oh, like I can't eat dairy. I'm supposed to be eating paleo. Like it's probably not a good idea for me to eat dairy. So we try making this cashew queso because we're just like, might work, might not. I know it's fine. Definitely, I think it was better with chips than by itself. Which also, as a side note, I feel like as I'm dipping the chips with it, it's less spicy. But tasting it by itself, it's like very spicy. I don't know what kind of magic that is. But anyways, but yeah, so this queso is much better than that queso by a landslide. Can you not? I'm trying to eat. Stop. Wait, can you like get... At least be polite enough to do that, like, off the frame. Jesus. It's like they're animals. But yeah, and also while we're on the topic of health, not sponsored or anything, but I honestly recommend GoodRx if you are having any sort of, like, kidney infection, urinary tract infection, anything that really doesn't require, like, an emergency room visit. If you know, like, you just need antibiotics or something, I really do recommend going through them. So the story with that is that I don't have insurance. Haha. So I am, like, very scared to go to a doctor because I have no way of paying for it. I don't have health insurance. I certainly don't have the money to pay for it out of pocket. I'm already, like, in severe debt with student loans, but that's a story for another day. So, I do have this, care credit. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's essentially like a credit card for... I don't know if you've heard of it. It's a credit card, essentially, for health-related issues, like going to the doctor. You can also use it for vet visits. Health stuff. So I went to this one place and they were going to charge me $175 for the visit. At the time, I just didn't have that money. I was unemployed. Well, okay, I wasn't unemployed, but I was working part-time, and I think that was... No, I was at my full-time job for a second time. But regardless, it's just like, who has $175 to just spend? Like, you know, I don't. So I was like, whatever, I'll just put this on my care credit, because I had checked, and supposedly that they were supposed to be a provider of it. So I'm like, I'll put it on my care credit, I'll pay however much I can a month, whatever. So I get there, she tells me the total, I go to pay for it, she's just like, yeah, like, we don't do this. So I kind of left just feeling defeated, cause, like, I didn't pay the $175 out of pocket, so I was just like, no, like, I can't afford that. Caleb got mad at me, he's like, oh my god, you can't do that, like, let me pay for it next time, you know, like, boyfriend stuff. Which I'm just like, yeah, like, I guess I could've, but now I'm glad I did it, because I went home, and I was like, you know, I've been hearing a lot of these commercials lately about GoodRx. Like, why the heck not? Let's check it out. So I think, like, the visit itself, which is just like you chatting online with some doctors back and forth, that is like $40 for like a doctor to see you. And then you just have to pay for your prescription basically. So I think I paid like $40, and then to get my prescription it was like $7. It was really cheap. So I went from $175 before the cost of the antibiotics, mind you, to less than $50 at the end of the day. I was like, wow, if I had known that this was a thing, I would have just cured the UTI in the first place and not let it get this bad. But now I know, and hopefully my story helps you be healthy as well. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up because it looks like my camera is about to die. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. I post about once a week. Don't have a specific date or day of the week planned yet, just because still figuring this whole thing out. You know what it is. So you can turn the bell icon on to get notified whenever I do post. But for sure it'll be once a week, so if you also just want to pop in every once in a while, see how I'm doing, that works too. But in the meantime, I hope you stay safe and stay well, and I will see you the next time. Bye!